Well, I really hate to interrupt all these great conversations going on, but I must. I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. I just want to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the College of Business. And the students that you've heard come up here are some of the leaders in the college, and their stories continue to amaze me and the rest of us in the college. They do such amazing things, and it's partially because of the faculty, and it's partly because of the parents, and it's partly because of the supporters in the room, the businesses that provide internships and opportunities for the students. So I wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk about where we're going. But before I do that, I want to tell you where we've been. So you probably are aware of some of this stuff, the history of the College of Business. The first business education classes started in 1914. In fact, it's kind of interesting because Woody Guthrie had a folk song about the Italian Hall disaster in Calumet, where the mining families were celebrating Christmas Eve and somebody yelled fire and somebody had blocked the exit door and a huge number of people lost their lives. That was 1913 and Christmas Eve. What's interesting about that is just a few months later, Northern Michigan started offering business education classes. We have a long history here. We've been teaching business for over 100 years in the UP. It hasn't always been smooth. Well, smooth. That's a term we use for bourbon, isn't it, Roger? Scotch? The 1920s is an interesting time in the UP. It's actually, I've heard stories that Al Capone had a camp in Ironwood where he used to run liquor. And one of the pictures I was going to put on here was a picture of the feds busting up, I forget how many barrels of wine that had been stored at a priest house in Ironwood because they thought it would be safe there. And the G-men brought 600 rounds of ammunition. That's a big deal. But Prohibition ended in 1933. And that's kind of interesting because in 1933, Webster Pierce, there's Webster right there, became the 4th president of Northern. Doesn't look anything like Fritz, but it's also recognized as a significant event because in 1933, the name of the College of Commerce, the Department of Commerce, was added to Northern Michigan's normal school at that time. And then, in the 1940s, if I back up a little bit, you can see that in World War II, enrollment went down to 400, it hit 492, but in World War II, it went down to about 200 and something, so it went back down again. Now, in 1956, K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base was added, and as it was known, K.I. Siberia, or the Rock, it was actually a location of choice for a lot of airmen because of the woods and the water and the snow, which is interesting, the same reason many students choose it today. And many of their airmen out there stationed at the base also became students. And I don't know about anybody else, but I actually taught a class on the base. Carol did too, yeah, before it closed. And it's interesting to note that at this time they were enrolling in Northern Michigan College, not Northern Normal School. And it's also really, this is a really important fact, that the second largest city in the UP disappeared in 1993. So 20,000 people, many of whom were students at Northern, moved away. That was a pretty traumatic shock for Northern. So we move on. The 1960s was known for Diver Down Scuba Shop opening on 3rd Street. And Scott Holman graduated from Northern during that period of time.
And I started the scuba
Yes, you did. And the Beatles played Shea Stadium in 1965. That was a very, very interesting time. 1966, Jerry Glanville was the football coach here. He later went on to be the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. And Ernie Telford was a freshman at a New York community college. And Howard Schultz was still in high school in New York. But enrollment was starting to take off, over 6,000 students. But it wasn't very peaceful. There were a lot of unrest, like at other campuses around the country. And in fact, many people are surprised to learn that there were more people of color on campus at Northern in 1968 and 69 than there are now. It was a very interesting time. It was also the same time that Donald Hangen became the first dean of the college. And this is kind of interesting because Donald actually was the first speaker at this event 4 years ago. He was our keynote speaker. Did a great job. So that makes him about 87, lives in Scottsdale, Arizona. And when he walks in a room, he still takes total command of it. But when I talked to him about that, I said, "You came to Northern?" He said, "Look," he said, "I was in California. We had Black Panthers taking over our college campuses and our offices. We had them in the office right next door to mine. We had our office barricaded so they couldn't get in." He said, "I came to Northern and there were people throwing Frisbees." He said, "It was a no-brainer." He said, this was a beautiful place to be." So Don was the first dean of the College of Business, official dean. School of Business, I should say, I stand corrected. And then he left in about 1975 and became the president of Corning Community College in New York, where he spent the rest of his career. And then he retired. His son Mark is on our Dean's Advisory Council, and Mark is the chief pilot for Easy Ice. That's his official title. And they're out in the M-Bank building on Washington Street, and Bob's and Mark's in California this week, so he couldn't be here. So it was an interesting time. K Hall, which no longer exists, but the students were there in the 1970s. Enrollment hit almost 9,000 students in the 1970s. This place was taken off. In 1975, NMU won the national championship in football. That was the era of Steve Mariucci, Tom Izzo. You can see the dorms actually haven't changed very much. Same furniture, and a couple of those guys are probably still students. But in 1980, something interesting started happening. Enrollment was around 7,700. You can see how beautiful the campus was. Notice there's no dome, no Berry Event Center. Jamrich is still there. Jamrich was a new building then. 1991, national championship in hockey.
I was there.
I saw it on television. Kath?
I was just a spectator. I went to the game.
You weren't in the picture?
No, I went to the game. I stood screaming for three overtime periods.
Well, my story is a little different than that because Kathy and I were in Akron, Ohio. We had interviewed to come up here. I had interviewed for the job. Kathy and I were flipping through the channels, and hockey game comes on. Northern Michigan University. Holy cow! And they won. This is my wife, Kathy, there. Hi, Kathy. How you doing? National championship. Place is growing like crazy. And then start building a dome, moving football indoors. This place is growing like crazy. It looked like there was no end to it. The School of Business became the College of Business in 1992. College of Business started hiring faculty, as did the rest of the university, because enrollment had risen from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s. And by the end of the 1990s, it was probably going to be 15,000. And then something started happening. The Air Force Base closed. 20,000 people moved away. If 10% of those were taking classes, that's 2,000 students. Boom, gone. The College of Business absorbed the Business Education Department. At that time in 1995, there were 41 full-time and part-time faculty in the College of Business. That was the peak. Never been like that since, until a couple years from now. Brian Knox stepped down in 1977, 1997, went back to teaching. He was the longest serving dean. He was the dean for the College of Business altogether for 18 years. He retired last year. He was our speaker 2 years ago. Or was it last year? Last year. 2 years. 2 years ago. And we went from 3 departments to 1. Consolidation. Things began to change. Enrollment in 1995 at the university, 7,500. And the guy in the Adidas shirt, don't look too close, you'll see the belly bag I was wearing when I took the students to Eastern Europe. I'd been here 3 years. In the 1990s was a great time, but there was a feeling of change going on. In 2002, the College of Business achieved AACSB accreditation. I've since learned in talking to people that that took more than 20 years to achieve. They started talking about it when Donald Hangen was the dean. 20 years. There are over 16,000 business schools around the world, and 700 of them have this accreditation. It means something. It's hard to get, and we're finding out that it's hard to keep. But it means a lot. And in 2002, we moved to Cohodes from Majors Hall, which was turned back into a dormitory because enrollment was rising, the students were coming, the place was growing. This is a picture of my front yard in Nagani in about 2003. We had a little more snow back then than we do now. That's a 4-foot chain link fence around my front yard. And you can see where I actually shoveled paths for my dogs to be able to go outside. We haven't seen a winter like that here since I moved into town 4 years ago. And now, the College of Business is changing. We have students from different parts of the world. As a professor, I have had students in my class from South Africa, from Australia, from China, from Switzerland, from Mexico. That's great. That's exciting stuff to be able to share that with our students. And now, College of Business this year, this is an event we had a few weeks ago where we had professional sales luncheons. So students that were interested in learning about careers in professional selling could be part of it. Roger was here, Todd was here. This is really great experience for our students. We've had risk management and insurance, we've had banking, we've had accounting. We do this every year to bring our students and get them engaged with the real world. And the reason we do this is because this is where we're at today. We have 22 full-time faculty that delivered 8,000 credit hours of instruction last fall. That's actually a lot. We have 862 majors and minors. We've held our enrollment fairly constant over the last several years, while the university has really encountered some severe turbulence in enrollment and budgeting. We've been able to hold our own. Our faculty members are teaching about 366 classes. That works out to about 92 classes with 23 students in a class. And you heard earlier about the experience that the students are getting. And it's our plan to make it even better. And it's important because the UP is a special place. The natural beauty is one thing. The woods, the water, the snow. There's a lot of reasons people want to come to school here, but it's expensive. It's between $80,000 to $100,000 now for a bachelor's degree at NMU. That's not cheap. I don't care where you come from. So it's got to be worth it, and it can't just be worth it in recreation. It's got to be worth it in getting education and program and skills that will get you out of here and get you on your way. And some of these students you heard from tonight are really good examples of what we're making happen. And to be honest about it, we're just opening the book. We're just sharing the ideas. These guys are the ones that are doing all the work. So don't ever get the wrong idea. The students make it happen. But what we found over the last few years is the thing that distinguishes us from everybody else is you. It's the experiential education that we can provide by giving them experience at Fry Chevrolet, at Easy Ice, at Grand Champion McBride, at Range Bank, and the other companies that are here that work with us. And this is only going to get better. Tomorrow we're sharing with the Dean's Advisory Council and the College of Business faculty a little bit later a slide that shows the internships that we've developed in the last couple of years. And it's actually stunning. I should have put it in this, but this is long enough. But we've learned that the experiential opportunities we provide our students is what really sets us apart from everybody else. And we want to capitalize on that. Look at some of the stuff we're doing. We have a celebration of entrepreneurship every fall where we bring entrepreneurs to come in and talk to the students. Scott was our first keynote speaker at that event 4 years ago. When we do that, we have around 200 high school students come in with our college students and learn about entrepreneurship and starting businesses and running businesses. And we've had just about everybody you can think of in Marquette and the UP come in and talk to our students. VITA, you heard some of the students mention it. This is a program where the students do tax returns for Marquette citizens that meet certain income requirements. The students get the experience of doing tax returns. Looks good on the resume. It's good experience. The citizens get their tax returns done free of charge. This has been going on for 4 or 5 years. 5? To date, we've gotten these citizens over $1 million in tax refunds. That's terrific. Team Business. Their office is down the hall. This is one of the best kept secrets on the NMU's campus. This is an organization of students, ran by students, advised by a faculty member. And they work with entrepreneurs and help them on short and long-term projects. And our goal and our vision is that they'll be heavily involved with Invent at NMU and the Smart Zone, because this is a great opportunity. Recently, some of the students went to Philadelphia and worked with an ice cream company on redesigning their product design, or the descriptions to make it more college age. That's cool. And while they were there, they were introduced to 2 more companies that would like to work with them. That's great experience for the students. And the College of Business supported them by paying their expenses there and back so they could have that experience. The career panel luncheons, already mentioned that. Kevah Juhla, you're part of it. And the reason we want you here is so you can meet these students, so you can interact with them, so they can meet you and see what the alumni are like, what the business community is like. The new Venture Business Plan Competition was our 10th edition earlier this year. We had a competition. This is where students compete. It's like Shark Tank, except we started before they did. The students compete for between $15,000 to $20,000 in cash and prizes. Great experience. Internships, mentioned that. Mentorship, this is one that you might want to consider, those of you that are community members. As a mentor, we would hook you up with one of our students. Whether you meet in person or not is irrelevant. Email, phone, Skype, Zoom, contact, answer questions about career choices and life and classes. And we have a faculty member kind of at the intersection so everybody knows what's going on. It's a great experience. So that's what we're hanging our hat on. The problem we've got right now, if you look at this map, you can see all these numbers right up there, the yellow numbers, right? 1 through 8. That's the College of Business. We're scattered all over campus like somebody threw a hand grenade at us. You know, our offices are down here in Cohotas. Our student managed investment fund and trading lab meets over here. The team business office is over here. The cybersecurity lab is over here in the library. We use classrooms in this building, this building, this building, and this building. Now, if I wanted to make the map bigger, I could show you that the Innovate Marquette Smart Zone is located over here, and Dennis West Northern Initiatives is somewhere over here someplace. And all of this stuff needs to be put in one location. So this is the vision that we're going to talk about. And this is actually getting to the most important part of my presentation. And our vision is the Business Innovation Center. And this is the epicenter for business generation and idea creation. This is where new businesses will start and launch and will create jobs and opportunities for people all around Marquette County and the UP. And it's a new home for the College of Business, but it's not just about a business school building. And if anybody thinks that, they haven't heard the whole story. Because what we're really talking about is a home for Innovate Marquette, the Smart Zone, which has the potential to create huge businesses in the future, right here in Marquette, that will employ hundreds of people before it's over. Invented NMU. I think everybody's heard a lot about that. There was an article yesterday in the Mining Journal about a guy who came up with an invention that went through Invent, and now it's being marketed. That's great stuff. Northern Initiatives. Northern Initiatives has been around since 1992. They have made over 1,000 loans to small businesses in the UP, downstate. Now they're even going into Wisconsin. They have a portfolio of about $70 million. They're located on Northern's campus. One of our scholarship recipients tomorrow works for them as a student worker, getting experience. It's not unusual. That's one of our partners. The Center for Economic and Rural Community Engagement. I can't show you their location because they don't have one. But they work with small communities all over the UP on obtaining grants and workforce assistance and to figure out opportunities for their communities. And we also have, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have Innovation Shore Angels, an Angels group. This is a group of individuals in Marquette that have a liquid net worth of $250,000 minimum, and they all pay a fee to belong to this on an annual basis. And the whole purpose is to find companies they can invest in. This is good stuff. We want to put this in one location in the center of campus. If you stand in Jamridge Hall, the new Jamridge Hall right now, and look west across campus, that's what it looks like. Here's what we think it should look like. This is the artist concept of the Business Innovation Center. Inside, it will have an atrium, which will be where everybody hangs out. Business people, inventors, bankers, investors, faculty, students. This is where everybody will be having coffee. Sorry, Starbucks. If we put a different name on the building, we might change that, but that's okay. The downstairs will have student labs, cybersecurity, trading, accounting, marketing, management, an incubator for students to come up with business ideas. The upstairs gives you an idea. This is faculty offices. This is open below. This is the atrium. There's a railing goes around. This is the existing McClintock building that's there now. This would all be updated for mechanical and electrical. These are classrooms over here that would be outfitted and updated to modern technology, so everybody would want to use them. The only faculty that use them now are the ones that get stuck in them. And over here would be the Innovation Center. This would be the home for Invented NMU, Innovate Marquette, and Northern Initiatives. right in the center of campus. We would have parking designated just for the local community members that are coming to work with the students. That's important. So this is a vision. All of these people in one place. This could spontaneously combust and generate businesses that would provide jobs for hundreds of people in the UP. Okay, so why is this important? If you read the Mining Journal 2 days ago, front page article said 48% of the families in Michigan are at or below the poverty level. Monday, Justina, our grad assistant, and I went to Munising and visited 9th grade students. 9th grade? Yeah, because by the time they're juniors and seniors, they already know where they're going when they graduate. So you got to get it to them earlier. So this is the second year we've done that. And it's really an awakening to see how these students think. Many of them have never thought about going to college. They didn't think it was a possibility. Well, one of the reasons is because, as the teachers told us, over 50% of the people in Munising live below the poverty level. Ishpeming. Anybody been to Ishpeming lately? Over 50% of the students in the Ishpeming public schools are on public assistance for free lunches. Over 50%. Now, what's it like in the rural areas of the UP? You think it's better? I don't think so. So what's really important is, what can we do to change that? Well, one thing we could do is wait for the government to fix it. Right. 2 things can change this. 2 things. Not very hard. 2 things. Education and jobs. And what we're proposing with this Business Innovation Center is a center that would create 2 things. Education and jobs. I don't know anywhere that can say that. And that's why this is important. It's not a new school building on the campus for the College of Business. It's about an innovation center that could generate businesses and jobs and change the future of the UP forever. Forever, beyond our lifetimes. And we don't get many opportunities like that, to have that kind of effect on people's lives in our lifetime. This is one of them. The new Jammers Hall, campus is changing. The new dorms, and a Business Innovation Center has the potential to change this place forever. So what am I asking you? Why am I presenting this to you? Because I want you to share it with other people. Get the word out. This is important. This can be a really big deal. So where are we at now? We have plans. We are in what's called the quiet phase, because the NMU Foundation is working, contacting donors, seeing if we can set up a chain of funding to get this launched. And once you get to a certain level, then we can go public. We have it on the university's request for state funding. This year it ranked 2nd behind the Jacob Eddy Center renovation. So that be as it is. But I think this is really important. I think this can change a lot of things for a lot of people for a long, long time. It's not about me. It's not about our faculty. And it's not about these guys. These guys are already on their way. I'm not worried about them. What I'm thinking about now is the 9th graders that we met in Munising. and those kids in Ishpeming and the kids and students that we've not met yet. We have the opportunity to do something. But we need your support and the support of everybody you know. So if you would like a copy of this presentation, all the links are live. If you send me an email, I will send you the PowerPoint. So you can actually go and look at the links, and you can actually go watch the 1975 football game where they won the national championship if you'd like. Okay? So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. There's more food. I'm going to turn the music back on, and I'm going to shut up. Any questions? Thank you.